Welcome to this video on backing up and restoring. We're going to go through the details of backing up your data and if necessary, restoring your data. If you're listening to this video, you're either conscientious about your computing or you need to do a restore because something bad has happened or whatever. So we're going to go into all the details of backing up and restoring. So let's get right into it. So what is a backup? A backup is a bit-for-bit copy of your data stored somewhere else other than your device. So our app allows you to back up your data to a maximum of 4 different other places. And if you're using BizXpenseTracker, in fact, the screen you're looking at on the right-hand side, that's an iPhone simulator running BizXpenseTracker. If you're using XpenseTracker or MileTracker or TimeTracker, it's all the same. The only difference is that BizXpenseTracker allows you to back up to Dropbox right out of the box. And when I mean right out of the box, once you buy the app, it has the Dropbox add-on already. The other 3 apps offer that option, but as an add-on, what is called an in-app purchase. So you can purchase that add-on and then back up and restore to and from Dropbox and Box. So let's take a look. So if we go into the the preferences screen, and scroll to the section called Backup Services, in BizXpenseTracker you'll see 4 choices. And like I mentioned, the other 3 apps you'll only see 2, Wi-Fi and iCloud, unless you purchase the add-on for Dropbox and Box, and then you'll see all 4 choices. So the first choice we'll be looking at is Wi-Fi. Now, Wi-Fi is an interesting backup process in that you're actually sending your data via Wi-Fi over your network to your desktop computer or laptop via Wi-Fi, of course, and through your browser. So it's very neat. It's a very cool feature, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So you set the backup services to Wi-Fi, hit save, and then you go into the log view screen. Here's the log view screen because it lists all your logs. You tap on options, and you'll see the option to back up to desktop. So you choose that. Now you're doing this on your device. Now it says go to your browser and enter. Well, I'm going to bring that screen up, and I've already pre-entered this, and I'm going to just enter this and hit return, and it refreshes, and this is the screen you'll see on your desktop computer. Now right now I'm running a Mac with an iPhone simulator, and for the purpose of recording I have the simulator running, but this way you can see everything all on screen. Obviously what you'd see is on the screen on the left you'd see on your computer, and on the screen on the right you'd see on your device, either your iPhone or your iPad or your iPod Touch. Now, it says enter the address as below, and you'll see it's 4 numbers separated by periods followed by a :8080. You can enter the HTTP : / or leave it out. For completeness, excuse me, just let's enter it, prove that does indeed show that. Okay. And so what we're doing is we've got a connection now between the device and our desktop computer, and you can do this on a PC or a Mac, doesn't matter, it'll work. And the only other requirements other than the needed for the PC or a Mac is that you're on the same Wi-Fi network. So the desktop computer or the laptop needs to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network as the iPhone is, and then that'll work. Now if you, for whatever reason, you enter this and you get some sort of error, it doesn't seem to work, first of all, that is likely because there's some sort of firewall set up on your on your computer. So that's preventing the information to go through. The best thing to do is do this on a home network, home Wi-Fi network, if it's not working at your work network, because home networks typically don't have the extensive firewalls that, say, a corporate network would have. And then once you see the screen, you know you're good to go. You do as the directions say. You click here to download a complete backup. And what that's doing is it's sending the file in a zip file to your desktop computer. Now, if you're running a Mac, it's in your downloads folder. If you're running a PC, I'm not sure where it's placed. I think it's also in a downloads folder. You would know best based on where files you download from the web are placed. But I'll open up my Mac. You see, actually, I've done this a few times, so it renamed. So actually, this is what you would see if you did this once on a Mac. Now, the reason you were seeing a folder and not a zip file is because the Mac by default automatically unzips zip files, and that's what it's done here. On a PC, it'll just create a zip file. And actually, what you really do want is just the zip file, because in the event you need to do a restore, you restore using a zip, not a folder. So because the Mac has unzipped this, let's take a peek just to see what's contained in the backup. And very simple here. There's two files. There's the XpenseTracker.sqlite.db, and that file is named regardless of any of the 4 apps you're using. It's always the same file name. And that contains all your data. And then there's this file, which is your preferences file, and it's named appropriately, ending in .plist. And if you have any photo receipts, you'll see a folder called Images, and inside those will be your photo receipts. And if you have any linked files, you'll have a folder called Files, and inside that will be all linked files. But the file that is created that you want to keep is either this folder, if you wish to save the folder, or you'd want to save the zip file. Now, I just back that up. I just zip that up, and this is the file. And the reason I did this is because I want to show you what it is to do a restore. So let's do something interesting here. We're going to go back onto our iPhone, and we're going to delete this data. Now notice when I delete a log, it warns me twice. So if you ever see this stop message, just as an aside, if you ever see this stop message, truly stop. Because if you delete this log, you're going to lose all your data if you don't have a backup. But, ironically, we're doing a video on backing up, so hopefully, even if you did do the mistake and delete something accidentally, you would have a backup. So, let's delete that. And now let's do the opposite of the backup, which is the restore. So we're going to do options here from the, now I'll cancel this for a second. This is, once again, this is the log view screen, because it lists all of our logs. We have none because we've deleted them. I'm going to do option, restore from desktop, enter this, so I'm going to click on here. I'm going to refresh this screen, and see now it says restore to BizXpenseTracker. We're going to choose the file. There it is, the zip file. You always choose a zip file, although you can restore individual files as well. But in this case, we want to do a complete restore. You restore zip, choose. And now there it is, there's the file, but nothing's happened. We have to submit. So we submit, and boom. Right now it says the restore is complete. We're following the directions here. Keep this screen open until the restore has completed. And when it's completed, you'll see the restore complete message. And lo and behold, I'm going to go back into my logs, and there's the data back. Magic, right? It's done a restore. And that will restore all your data, your images, your preferences, your any linked files you have. That'll restore everything. So that's interesting. That's Wi-Fi. That's a non-automatic backup. It's non-automatic because you have to actually go into options and issue the command. If you go into prefs, there's other methods, which is, let's look at iCloud. iCloud allows you to do it manually like we did with the Wi-Fi, but instead of the file getting sent to your desktop on your computer, it gets sent to a safe place in iCloud, a special place set aside for BizXpenseTracker, or if you're using XpenseTracker or MileTracker or TimeTracker. Set aside, it's a special place in iCloud set aside for the app, so it doesn't mingle with any of the other backup. So, if we set it to automatic, what you're going to ask, what does that exactly do? Well, each time you leave the app, your data will be backed up. And it'll be backed up each time so that only the changes that you have made will be backed up. Your database and preference file will always be backed up. Any new images created will then be backed up. So if you have 100 images and you've only added a new one, now you have 101, the next backup will only back up that one image. It's not going to do all the other 100 images. So the backup will be, we use little resources, so it won't be transferring much data across the network there. Now, that's automatic. If we don't do automatic, we can go to options and we'll see that the backup now, instead of saying backup to desktop, it has backup, but it shows the iCloud icon. If you do backup, it comes up with this option, complete or since last backup. Each time you issue that manually, it'll ask you that. Complete will back up everything. It'll back up your database. It'll back up your preferences. And that does that every time anyway, so that's not too interesting. But it'll back up every single photo receipt you have associated with an image. So if you have a year's worth of data and 200 photo receipts, it's going to back up everything fresh. It's going to overwrite the backup that's on iCloud with this new backup. And that's key. Remember that. It's going to overwrite the backup that's there with this new backup. iCloud only will store one backup. Well, that's how we have it set up. So if you do a backup, it always overwrites the last one. Now, if we go back and we set this to automatic, you still have the option to issue or force a backup, but every time you leave the app, it'll back up the data that has not been backed up yet. Now, it does that. It actually doesn't do it every time you leave the app. I might have said it leaves the app every time. It actually does it every 2 days. So if you leave the app and it's been over 2 days, 2 days or over 2 days since your last backup, it'll back up your data. Now, what's the exception to that? The exception to that is if you do this. That is delete a log. If you delete a log, the app is smart enough to say, okay, we're going to give him or her 2 more extra days just to be sure. We're not going to back over that and possibly lose that log. We're going to wait 2 days before we back up. So 2 days from right now is when the next possible backup could take place. Or if you did options and force the backup, then the backup will take place. All right? So that's iCloud and I'm going to close this up. That's iCloud and Wi-Fi. We have 2 other options. If you've purchased the Dropbox Box add-on, then you have the option to do Dropbox or Box. Doing Dropbox allows you automatic as well. The only difference in the automatic for Dropbox is that the backup will take place when you launch the app. So when you first come into the app and it's been 2 days since your last backup, it'll back up your data. And it's always doing since last backup. All right, same thing with Box, except that Box does not have automatic. Box, if you hit options here, is only if you force it. Box, we don't have automatic backup to Box as of yet. So let's go back to this. Let's do some recapping here. Backing up, we can back up via Wi-Fi to our desktop. We can back up to Dropbox, either automatically or not automatically. We can back up to iCloud automatically or not automatically, and we can back up to Box. Now, you're going to say, which one do you prefer? Which one is the... Well, I personally like Dropbox. If you own the add-on already, that's great. I'm not trying to sell the add-on or anything. I just like Dropbox for the very reason that first I can do it, I can see the files. So if I do Dropbox and do a backup, I can see the files. I can go into iCloud. If I go into iCloud, I can't see the files. There's places on the Mac that are kind of hidden that you could see it, but it's not open to the general user. Dropbox, you go onto the Dropbox folder, you see your backup. It will be in a folder called BizXpenseTracker-backup, and that will be nested in a folder called BizXpenseTracker. And then that folder is in a folder that Dropbox creates called Apps. So you go into your Apps folder, you find your BizXpenseTracker folder, then inside that you go into your BizXpenseTracker-backup folder, and there's the backup. Now, you don't do anything with that. You just leave that, unless you want a snapshot of your data. Now, what do you mean by snapshot? Well, what I mean by snapshot is when you do a backup, you've got a backup of all your data in that folder. You could take that folder and you can duplicate it, drag it out, place it into someplace else, date it accordingly, and that's a snapshot of your data at that very time that backup was created. If you ever need to restore to that point in time, you can use that backup. The only caveat is if you restore a backup, it's going to overwrite any data you have on your device now. So for instance, let's say, and this is for the purposes of archiving, which is many people request about information about archiving. So you've got your backup. It's for July and August of this year. You started using the app in July, and you created a log for July. You created a log for August, and you want to get rid of July because you've created all the reports. You don't need it, but you want to save a copy of it. So what you do is you take that backup, and you from Dropbox, or if you use Wi-Fi, you can do also Wi-Fi. You take that backup and you squirrel it away someplace, and you name it, and you squirrel it away. And then on your device, you delete the July log because you don't need it anymore. And then sometime down in the future, you say, oh darn, I need to look at those July entries. So if you were to restore from the July backup, at that very moment, you'd lose all your data that you've added since that backup. So you always want to create a new backup before restoring from a intermediate backup. If you're just doing a regular restore, if you've got a full backup and you're restoring, then fine, you just do a restore. But if you're restoring from an old backup that does not have all your data that you just want to take a look at, then you always want to make sure you have a full backup so you can always jump to that point. Think of a backup as a snapshot of that data at that very moment, and hopefully that's clear. And I think that is all we need to say about backing up and restoring. If you have any questions, please email me at scott@silverwaresoftware.com. Also, we have on our website, silverwaresoftware.com, forums, a user forum, where you can post messages. So if there's questions that you want to post that you think might be beneficial for others to see as well, you can post, and we'll repost an answer for everyone to see. Or you can go digging in the forum for more information, search for the topic you're looking for, and find answers to a lot of your questions. But since you're listening to this video, you're doing the right thing. The only other thing I'd like to say, and I don't recall if I said it already, but when you launch our app, if you're using the Series 9 version of our apps, so version 9 or greater of our apps, those have a feature where if you launch it and it detects that you've got iCloud installed, it will ask you if you want to enable iCloud automatically to back up. I would recommend you saying yes to that, unless you have some other preference, like you want to back up to Dropbox, or you prefer the Wi-Fi method and you can control it yourself. But please back up. The app is very solid. It's not going to lose your data, but you are going to, there might be something bad happen. Your device may be broken, or hopefully not stolen, but this happens. I hear about this, and it happens. And if you have a backup in one of these 4 methods, and it's up to date, then getting your data back is just a matter of a few taps, and you'll be back up in a few moments. And that's a great thing to have. The only other thing I want to say about backing up is the only other place that our data will be backed up where you can have access to it is through iTunes, not through the global iCloud backup. You can back up your device through iCloud, but that's a full backup and restore. The backup that I'm referring to is when you sync with iTunes on your Mac or PC. Each and every time you sync, each and every app's data is backed up, and there are ways of extracting that data from the backup. That should be a last resort. Hopefully you follow these other steps. You'll never ever need to worry about that because you have a backup. But if you ever want to have a backup of your backup, the way to do it is to sync via iTunes. And by doing that, each and every app's data, including ours, will be backed up. And there are tools on the market, free tools that you can get a hold of, third-party tools, to extract your data and then use the data to restore to our app if that happens. So you can inquire via email regarding that if necessary, but hopefully that won't happen to you. All right, that's enough for today. We're going to have a lot of other helpful videos. We're going to have a video on device syncing, a brand new video on device syncing, a brand new video on creating reports and what it means to do export to email and the differences between emailing and exporting, and planning also a new video on preferences. So we'll peruse all the different preferences in what I call making your app your own, which is the app is extremely customizable, and you really truly can make it your own like no other person running our app, because you can have dozens and dozens of settings to really customize the app to yourself. And that's all. So hopefully watch those other videos when available, and if you have any questions, please email us. Thank you.